On May 22, 1856, a congressman walked onto the floor of the U.S. Senate and beat a senator nearly to death, and he'd spent 2 days planning exactly how to do it. The senator was Charles Sumner of Massachusetts, who was an ardent abolitionist. 2 days earlier, he'd given a blistering speech about pro-slavery violence in Kansas. Along the way, he singled out South Carolina Senator Andrew Butler for personal mockery. He called slavery a prostitute that Butler had taken as a mistress and made fun of his slurred speech after a recent stroke. Butler wasn't there to hear it, but his cousin was. Enter in Congressman Preston Brooks of South Carolina. Brooks was furious, and his first instinct was to challenge Sumner to a duel. That was the honorable option in the 19th century Southern Code of Conduct. But Brooks asked a fellow rep, Lawrence Key, about dueling etiquette, and got told something important. You only duel a social equal. And Sumner, with his coarse insults, had supposedly proven that he wasn't one. So Brooks made a cold decision. A man like Sumner needed to be disciplined, the way you discipline an animal or a slave, with a cane. So Brooks waited. He even waited for the Senate galleries to clear so that no woman would witness what he was about to do. Then he walked up to Sumner, who was sitting at his desk, calmly told him his speech was libel on South Carolina, and started swinging. The first blow blinded Sumner with his own blood. He tried to stand up but was trapped because his desk was bolted to the floor. Brooks kept beating him until Sumner, in a panic, ripped his bolted desk clean off the floor. He staggered up the aisle defenseless while Brooks kept swinging. Even after his cane snapped in half, Brooks kept going with a broken piece. Sumner's injuries would keep him absent from the Senate for the next 3 years. Brooks thought he was just settling a personal score, but the country saw this as a new front in the war over slavery. In the North, Sumner became a martyr, and the new anti-slavery Republican Party finally had a rallying cry. And in the South, Brooks somehow became a hero. Admirers mailed him hundreds of new canes to replace the one he'd broken. Some were engraved with 3 words: hit him again. Congress voted to expel him, but Southern Democrats blocked it and shielded him. He barely received a slap on the wrist, and was even re-elected weeks later. So a senator had just been beaten unconscious on the floor of Congress, and half of the country was cheering. The institution that had spent decades negotiating compromises over slavery had suddenly proved that it couldn't even hold itself together. After this, congressmen started carrying guns and knives to the floor. The argument was over, and in a few days, John Brown would decide that the time for arguing was done.